Hi, I'm Jeanette, the North Dawn Coach. I'm glad you're here today because we're going to be finishing off the series that I started six videos ago around these 5 different hacks that we can take to make our work lives better, our jobs better. And by better, I mean where we can feel more engaged, where we feel much better. I keep saying the word better, but where things are just enhanced. And this is particularly significant because not all of us really want to make a big change out of our jobs into something else. Many of us would prefer to make things, to improve things in our existing roles. So these hacks, we've been taking them one at a time and diving into what we can do with them and what a difference that can make. And for today's hack, I am going to unveil the 5th one, which honestly, I think it feels a bit counterintuitive, because if we're honest with ourselves, and I'm speaking for myself here, the thought of going after this makes me a little bit nervous. So let me not have this in a cloak of mystery. The hack that I'm talking about here is seeking feedback. So when we don't receive feedback about how we're doing, in our relationship with our boss, our manager, with peers, with the recipients of the work that we're putting out there in the world, when we don't know one way or another how it's being received, we're going to be less engaged. And so it's not just a lack of positive and reinforcing feedback that is in question here, but it's actually the developmental, or what we sometimes think of as negative feedback, that we really need to round this out. We need to know, from all sides, how is the work that we're putting out there being received, and what things can we do to make it better. So that's what I mean about counterintuitive, because there's a part of it that feels like, well, why would I seek knowing, where I might not be making, where I might be missing the mark? Well, it's because we want to grow and improve. And if we don't have that information, we can't do that. And so we kind of get in this stuck space where we're going to be less engaged because we just don't have anywhere to go with it. So it's important that we get that feedback. Now, what can we do about this hack? How can we put it into practice, if that is in fact the situation that you are working with, that you are not getting feedback? Well, there's several ideas to share with you. One is, if you already have mechanisms at work where you are meeting with your manager in particular on a regular basis, if you're meeting with your direct reports, if you have other project meetings, all of those spaces are a good place to just insert a little bit of a feedback mechanism. So it could be a part of your regular one-on-one with your manager, for instance, to seek out feedback. Like, what did you see me do in this last week that, was really something that was quite positive? Where's an area that I can improve? Sometimes you will hear that expression like start, stop, continue. Like, what are those different directions? Yes, or red, yellow, green. Those are different ideas around just the frame. Like, what should I stop doing? What should I start doing? And what should I continue doing? All are different forms of feedback. So you can put those into the mechanisms that you already have in place on a weekly or semi-monthly basis to make sure that you're getting those feedback places. Another thing that you can do is to participate in a 360-degree process. That could be formally offered to you in your organization, where an assessment actually would be done with, getting feedback from your manager, from your manager's manager, from your direct reports, if you have a team, from your peers, and so forth. And then that's delivered in a way that, maintains some confidence and makes it anonymous in some respects to be able to, get that protected feedback in there. But that might be a method that you follow. You might also do things like your own self-evaluation. So even though, it's sort of circular that you're giving yourself your own feedback, actually reflecting on those, how you think things are going on a regular basis can be a really good start to the process and sort of warm things up for seeking feedback in other places. The other thing I want to offer here is a process called Feed Forward. And this is something that Marshall Goldsmith brings us around. Instead of looking backward and asking, what didn't go well or what went well in the past on this thing that I've done, Feed Forward is really about looking at what is going to happen in the future. So, where would you suggest that I focus some of my development and growth? How can I contribute to this project in a meaningful way? The questions being not about a reflection of something that has already happened that you can't change, but they're really questions that you can ask to move you forward in future direction where you can actually put in change. So that's it in a nutshell. That's the idea, that even though it can feel you're vulnerable, it can feel like that might be threatening to start to seek that out, the feedback out. The more that you do this on a regular basis, the easier it gets. So taking those tentative first steps out, asking maybe in some of the easiest places to get that feedback is a nice place to start. And if you're anything like many of my clients that I talk to, often what happens is what you've imagined that feedback to be, that you're just not doing well at all, is not at all the kind of feedback that you receive. In fact, the perceptions that others have of the work that you're doing is so much more affirming, so much more affirming than what you are giving to yourself, that it can really be an eye-opener that your own perceptions, your beliefs about, how your contributions are being greeted in the world are maybe a little bit off. And it can be a nice welcome surprise. If you'd like any support for this, any strategizing, please, I'll put the link to my free link for a little bit of a strategy session in the description box. If that's of interest, do take me up on that. All right, so hopefully this was helpful to you. Thanks for joining today, and we'll see you again in the next video. Talk soon.